Okay, I think we're good, Mr. Poirot.
Thank you, sir. All right, well, welcome everybody to our first PTA meeting of the new year. So I hope everybody had a great holiday season, wonderful New Year's, and time off and away from everything. So as we get started tonight, I want to thank everybody, as always, for joining us tonight. It's a short agenda, so I'll try and keep this brief. A couple of things we want to go over. First, has everybody had an opportunity, officially, let me call the meeting to start, it's at 7:04. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes that were posted from last month's meeting? See a thumbs up. Are there any questions among the group about any of those minutes? Okay, no questions. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Amy made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay, Rose has seconded. Any questions, comments, concerns before those get entered into record? Going once, going twice. Okay, minutes from last month have officially been approved and will enter into our official record. Thank you, everybody. Moving along, financial update, Ms. Ricketson.
Okay, so I just made a huge deposit today with multiple checks. So the checks I deposited were $55.85 from the Christmas funds. They actually donated 10% back to the school. So we received $55.85 back. Fifth grade committee received two checks, one for $206.14 and one for $239.14. And then I deposited a $30 membership donation, and $1,535.20 for the winter fundraiser was also deposited. And I also did deposit box tops for $48.30. And that's about all I have. I made one payment this month, and that was to pay for the banner of $45. So to explain that briefly, it was $45 cost. And what the t-shirt company did was they also did give us a 10% kickback with regards to some of the t-shirts we had ordered for the teachers early on. So with that kickback of money that was already spent, we only owed $45 for the large banner that Old County will be able to use for the beam raising and then well after in the new school. So it'll have a double use. J&R has been pretty amazing with regards to pricing and supporting our printing needs, however ridiculous we are when we ask for things. But they always seem to support our crazy ideas and come back with something. So, and they're also good about recommending when we're asking for things about reusing them so that we're not overspending money. So they also know that our money is not as lucrative as it was. So I do believe that we did get a pretty significant deal on this large banner.
Yeah, the banner is 5 by 5, and it's the emblem that's on Mr. Barrett's chest of Old County Road with the raccoon in the middle. Yep. So, you know, school colors, that way it could be used, like Amy said, over and over again. So once the school's finished, we can hang that in the gym and then use that at any and all ceremonies we want to.
That'll be great. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really looking forward to the school being finished.
I'm sure you don't want to hit the dump trucks or any of that stuff anymore.
I didn't mind the dump trucks as much. They're grinding steel right now, and so it's a little bit hard to test when they're doing that.
Yes, and I think that's right near your special ed room, so I'm sure that will be awesome time.
It's right near our library where we like to bring small groups. So
awesome. So that is it for the financial update. We do not have a lot of money coming in and coming out, but this month was a big deposit month. So the checks and balances aren't really there, but I will send an updated balance for the 5th grade committee so they know where their money stands, as these two were just deposited today. So when I update it, I will send the 5th grade committee update to them. So just for clarification, that would be Dorothy and Mrs. Manny and Stephanie? Okay. I want to include everyone.
Correct. Awesome. Thank you. Moving along, Rebecca asked me to put on here the RIF program. So if you want to take the lead on that, please.
So when I was a kid, we used to have at our elementary school the Reading is Fundamental program come in. And we used to be able to, everyone in the school was able to pick out a book, and it was free of charge. So actually, Mr. Gary and I were talking about that the other day, and we wondered if it was still around, and coincidentally it is. And they do have this program. It's actually a grant program, and it's a matching grant program, and I thought I would bring it up to the PTA to see if maybe they were on board. So they have this Books for Ownership program, and what they do is you can actually apply for a grant, and it's a matching grant. So every book is $3, and every kid would get a book. So depending on how many students we have, we'd times that by 3, and then we can ask for as much money as we want, but then what would happen is if we got the grant, they would actually whatever money they gave us, the PTA would then match, so that every student was able to go online and get a book through their library that they have. It would have to be through the RIF library. But I was thinking, unfortunately, I think it's closed for this year, but it's gonna, or for this time frame. But I figured that maybe it might be something that we could possibly do for the next time that they open the grant program. So that way the kids could, be able to each get a book technically for free, even though the PTA would pay half.
When does the grant reopen again, Rebecca?
So I was looking at that, and it looks like it may reopen. I was looking at the timeline, and there are a few things that we actually would need to do. There's program activities, but it looks like it may open sometime, I would say maybe May-ish, June-ish, and then we would be able to use it for the next school year. But I'm going to look more into it just to see. But I figured I would bring it up.
I personally think that that's a great idea, and I wouldn't mind starting the application now just so that we can have the money for them. And it's also something that we can apply for the budget. If we know how much it is now, we can apply it for the budget that we would be introducing in July or August. So just to get our facts together, our typical enrollment, Mr. Barrett, is around 225 to 240. Is that correct? Somewhere in that rolling enrollment?
Yeah, right now we're a little bit lower than that. I believe our latest enrollment is 216 students. I was just checking yesterday. It's within 1 or 2 of those, but I would say anywhere from 220 to 240 is a good guesstimate.
Yeah, so at 225, that would be about $675 from the PTA. Just as an FYI.
I love the idea of kids owning their own books because I think that's really important. One of the things that I just saw online on their website, they also offer something. It's only for K through 3 students, it looks like, but they call it the Skybrary. Mm-hmm. So even while we're waiting for the physical library to open too, it looks like they do ebooks for younger kids. So something else to consider and look at too. So thank you so much, Mrs. Regnier. That's a terrific idea.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll look more into it and definitely get, nail down the details and stuff like that, just to see. And I did see there are more programs on there, so I'll definitely look at all of them. and see if perhaps there's something else we can use, like you said, the Skybrary and stuff like that.
I can also reach out to both of our reading specialists to see if they know any specific connections to the program. So they may be good resources as well. So I'll do that. I'll reach out to both Mrs. Gamrell and Mrs. Dohoney.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And if we have to start doing this now, I can absolutely help in writing up the grant with whoever else wants to help.
I also wonder if for the K through 3, since we have Scholastic for 4, 5, and 6, kind of, if we do this K through 3 piece for that reading week rollout, you know, just to kind of support the reading and show them different ways or different avenues of reading instead of just from a book, to be active readers, just to support the school's mission in reading and improving reading and all those things. And I wouldn't be opposed if it comes out in May to even possibly look at buying books for them to be reading over the summer, because we all know that's also hard as well. So maybe if they do know that they have ownership of a book that they're reading from the summer, and then we could also offer maybe an exchange period where the student brings their book back from the summer and they exchange it with a friend in September after they've kind of like sold their book as kind of a book project. Different ways of, you know, increasing the use of the book more than just one family.
Yeah, I think that would be really nice too. You know, hopefully too, by the summer, we wouldn't need to quarantine the books and things like that. So hopefully, but I also, you know, one of the things that I've been so impressed with students is they've taken to, just as you said, reading in different ways, far easier than I certainly have. I hate reading on a computer screen as much as I love computers, but the kids are really used to reading ebooks like from Get Epic and all the things that they're doing with their teachers. So also, you know, sort of just giving them those options, I think is good for kids, and showing them that, yeah, you know, you can read in lots of different ways, even if you don't necessarily have a book in front of you. And also introducing some kids to actual books, because maybe at home they don't have many hard copy books.
Exactly. Let's definitely look into that, and let's see if we can get it rolling. Even if we start like a fun rollout for May, and yes, hopefully let's cross our fingers we're not quarantining books in September, because I'm over the quarantining.
Well, Amy, I know next on the agenda technically is Outdoor Bazaar, but do you want to talk about Scholastics, because you asked to have that on there since that goes hand in hand with this?
Sure. So we got the Scholastic Renewal, and I know that Mrs. Manella could not be here with us tonight, unfortunately. But I didn't know, Paul, especially with it being a different kind of year, and Scholastics is still kind of rolling out some kind of free incentives. If it's something that your teachers would like, we did talk about stopping the reimbursement for teachers. However, you know, we can't stop everything. And I do feel like Scholastics would be a good investment for both teachers and students, just to, again, keep that reading piece. And, you know, hopefully we won't go back to learning at home, but in case that does happen, those are also good resources as well. So I didn't know if you could take a poll of the faculty to, in fact, ask them if they would rather Scholastic be something that we look into focusing our money on this year for them as resources.
And we do have a tentative Scholastic Virtual Book Fair coming in February 22nd-ish. That's the only tentative activity that's going on with Scholastic for our one due out for the year.
Has Scholastic published, and I don't know the answer to this question, published any guidance on how they're doing book fairs in the age of COVID? And also I'm thinking too, how we would want to involve and give opportunities to our virtual students.
Well, it will be 100% virtual, and the person in charge, I have a meeting next week to plan a month out, and I'll get more advice and guidance. I can put that out on the next PTA meeting, because it won't be till the end of February. But I'll get that information, but it'll be 100% virtual.
And maybe what we could do as a PTA is maybe offer some like Zooms for kids, specific times where kids can pop on, and if they want to search for books together, you know, according to grade level with appropriate parent, you know, just have some type of different, interaction. So it's not just, again, doing something by yourself. If the virtual kids want to get on during a grade 1 or a grade 2 time, the kids can get on and Zoom with their friends. I'm not sure what that looks like for school permissions and, who would have to oversee what's happening with that during that time, because it's after school hours. But definitely something, if we could do grade specific, if we do K and 1, 2 and 3, and 4 and 5 during times, if they want to get on and search online during those times and together.
I'm wondering too, if we could partner with maybe like the Smithfield High School Honor Society, or some of their students that need volunteer hours, like they might be able to do some of the supervision after school or lead some of those things.
Oh, absolutely. I just didn't know whether, I didn't want to be volunteering school staff to have to be. So I was trying to bite my tongue, but
no, I understand.
I maybe require parent involvement, or, for a certain age group, 4 and 5 can kind of handle on their own with appropriate language expected, as we're looking for them to transition to middle school. And then maybe 2 and 3 needs to have a parent close by, and K and 1 parent next to, just for,
just to make sure that everyone's being appropriate and things like that. I would, to be perfectly honest with you, as long as I was available, I would probably make sure that I was in the Meet, the Zoom, whatever it was too, just to, make sure that those things happen.
Okay. I just thought it would be just a different way of interacting with the kids, so that they do feel like they're getting that social outside time as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that one of the, when we talk at the end for the principal's report, I know one of the things I've heard from a lot of families was how nice it was, even though it was distance learning, which is difficult for everybody, but for all the kids to be together for those 8 days with their classroom teacher. I know how much people really enjoyed that and got a lot out of it. So it's just another opportunity for kids, even if they can't be in one place, to work together.
Nice. Any questions on either the RIF program or Scholastics before we move on? Okay. Outdoor bazaar. I know we had brought this up at our first PTA meeting of the year, and Amy and I were brainstorming on ways we could still possibly hold a bazaar. And we thought about doing an outdoor bazaar later on in the school year, springtime at Deerfield Park. Concept that we thought was obviously open spaces. Vendors could be at least 10 feet away from each other, nice and big. And then talking this week with Amy, she had an idea for a 50-50 raffle. And what else did you want to talk about with that, Amy?
I was just wanting to bring it up just so it's always a constant conversation, although it wouldn't be the same amount of monetary bring back to the PTA. It would still be something rather than nothing. And I think also the people that run bazaars such as this are also hurting for some cash. And I think that they would also benefit from some type of monetary return if, people were shopping during that time. And instead of looking for donations from local businesses, because I think that would be too much of an ask and almost very selfish, that we would possibly do like a 50-50 raffle, or things like that. Or if families have things they would like to regift from the holiday season that they may not think that they're going to use and they want to donate, we could make baskets that could be regifted to other homes. But, somebody else's not need is somebody else's treasure. So people could raffle off different things, or we could just look at just different avenues of still making some money rather than absolutely no money. And then still look at continuing to have the bazaar again in December, even if we did have one in May. But I was just looking to kind of reach out to the vendors to see if there was any interest. I just didn't know where, since it would be offsite, how much the superintendent had to say about what we wanted to do or what we can do. And I realize it's a big ask, but I also know that measuring out the field and making sure we have enough room and all that stuff is also really very important as well. So I just want to make sure that we have details in place and the ability to contact our good vendors in time as well.
I'm wondering,
The only
like,
problem I see is that outside would be weather dependent.
Correct.
Well, a lot of the outside things, I agree, it would be weather dependent, but a lot of the things that have moved outside that were previously inside, people said rain or shine, as long as it wasn't like thundering and like significant.
And I think that's something we'd have to think about in the planning stage, and we would have our go date and then our rain date also. So that way, if we had to call it that day because of thunder and lightning, everybody knows that it would be the following weekend or whatever it may be.
So the other thing I'm thinking is just in terms of space, because the school right now is under construction. We don't have a ton of outdoor space. I would think we would want to partner with the town and see what spaces, whether it would be Deerfield or any other space that they thought would be appropriate. And I wonder too if we could partner with the town in some way to make it mutually beneficial to them. They may be more apt to let us use the space. I have no idea what they charge for a space like Deerfield either.
So my daughter's dance studio did a outdoor performance because they were unable to perform for their competition stuff. And at that time, when they did it, their competitions had all been canceled and they weren't competing at all. And the town did not charge them anything. It was free of charge because they were a business located in Smithfield. And so, although I'm not looking for it to be free, I do think there's some stipulations that we have to be. I'm just trying to be crafty and looking to recover some of our money and also possibly be able to help out our 5th grade families as well, just because I know that this is going to be a difficult time for fundraising. So that just trying to be creative. And I don't even know in December of next year if asking for local businesses for donations is even going to be feasible at that point as well. So, it's walking that fine line. I still want to have a very lucrative fundraiser, but I also don't want to be selfish and thinking that people are going to still donate like they have in the past. By the way, happy birthday, Kevin.
Yeah, happy birthday, Papa.
Oh, God. You had to say that, right?
You're lucky we're not singing happy birthday, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, the other idea with Outdoor Bazaar, in talking with Dave Beauchamp on our morning walks to and fro school, he really thought this was a great idea, and he was interested in reaching out to all the food trucks in Rhode Island to get the food trucks there for food, since we can't do our normal catering out of the wonderful kitchen that you have at school, Paul. If we can make this happen, having this as much of a fun atmosphere, and maybe doing this towards the end of the year and having this pseudo field day there too, so it's a full day thing for families and kids to really monopolize on the time and investment of borrowing Deerfield Park. Having played soccer there with the kids, and it's a large space, and we could absolutely make it work. So I think if we can get the go ahead from the town on this and Dr. Paolucci, I think this is a great idea.
So what I can do is I can get in touch with Dr. Paolucci and just see, is this something that she would support? And then we'll go from there, because then I would assume she would probably want to reach out to the town manager on our behalf, or, I certainly know him from working in the technology department, but I think starting with Dr. Paolucci is probably the best idea.
Oh, you don't want me to walk 3 doors down and ask him if it's all right?
I think you should, but after I talk to Dr. Paolucci.
Knock on the door. Hey.
I would like Rebecca, step 2.
I would just like it to be, maybe if we could make it known, Mr. Barrett, that we have followed all of her expectations with, all of her rules and have not broken.
With fidelity.
What'd you say?
With fidelity.
Yes.
No, our school has really, like, I cannot tell you, we have followed everything.
You've set the example, which is important.
So I guess what I'm asking for, even before the ask, is maybe a little break a little understanding because we have in fact followed those rules, but our finances and other schools' finances are very different with regards to fundraising and donations and things like that. And I would hope that she would take that into account and be a little bit more lenient than just a hard no.
I'm sure she'll take into account, and I'll try and present it in a very positive way. And I know Dr. Paolucci has really tried to be as flexible as she can. So I will reach out to her. It looks like Mrs. Manny's using the raised hand feature, so she's got a question.
Go, Mrs. Manny.
Yes, I just want to say that I think with our group being this side of town and having some of the families who have less financial stability in their lives, that I really like the idea of doing fundraisers like this, that other people from the public could partake in it, and that the school, the families, the students benefit. I think that's part of one of the things that, besides that the bazaar is just amazing and fun and fantastic and, great holiday spirit, one of the things is nice is that it brings in people from outside. So we are not just always going back to the well of the exact same families every time for everything. So in the spirit of what Amy was just saying, absolutely, the idea that we could attempt to get something in a public space like that. And I know that because we do a lot of stuff with Cub Scouts, trying to, get locations there, or soccer and baseball, I know that there's so many other things going on, like track and everything, but even unofficial location, like the field next to the tennis courts, is something, right? But yeah, it would be fantastic if we could get it.
I think the biggest thing, if we can get this, is speaking as a soccer parent, making sure the bathrooms are open, because they tend to lock those all the time, and all other soccer parents can attest to how much that stinks.
As another location option, the Portuguese American Club has a not very big, but they do have a pavilion area and then a large field next to it. So that might also be an option. I have no idea what the cost would be, but that also might be an option. And then if there are certain, like, food or something goes under the pavilion maybe, and everybody else is going to have to bring a tent. I don't know. But that they have a decent amount of space there as well.
No, it's a good point. I'm driven by that. That is a big area. You're right. I think the nice thing is, since we have time, we can come up with a couple plans. Obviously, Deerfield will be nice as our primary, but I think having these backup spots is important, just in case that is a no-go for there. So good call on that one, Stephanie. So just keep on thinking about this, Mr. Barry, if you don't mind reaching out to Dr. Paolucci first to see what her thoughts are. If we could even have an outdoor bazaar before we spin our wheels too much, that'd be awesome.
No problem.
Right. Moving on. Any questions at this point? Okay. Moving on. 5th grade committee. You are up, Ms. Stephanie.
All right. So we've been meeting not quite every week with the holidays in the middle there, but we've been meeting pretty frequently, trying to catch up after the slow start at the beginning of the year. As Amy had mentioned, we have been doing some fundraising, and we are going to go ahead and use the same yearbook company that they used last year. It seemed like that was a pretty good deal, so we're going to go ahead and we're moving forward with working on the yearbook. We've talked a lot about the t-shirts, and we're looking at getting quotes, so that's kind of in progress. Field trips, we are kind of a challenge, an extra challenge this year. So we've been looking a lot at virtual options. We're trying to get a feel for things that are online, but that are also still interactive. So it's, not just, the kids exploring on their own, but there's a million tours and things online, possibly a theater production. We're just kind of looking at those options. I don't know how I think we're going to end up reaching out to the teachers and say, here's a list of things we're doing. Does any of this tie into your curriculum? What does anything particular that sounds good to you? And look at doing that. And then the next real big thing we have for a fundraiser is silver graphics. So for those of you who were here a few years, I think it was 2017, we did the silver graphics, and that's where we took the artwork and you can put it on anything you want, like a cutting board or a tote bag or a keychain. So that's a fundraiser we have coming up. And I just have some logistical questions for Mr. Barrett, really, in terms of getting, we have, 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Like, it's very simple, but we want to make sure all kids have access to it. And then collect it back from them once they've made their creation. The actual ordering will all be online. So there won't be any physical catalogs or physical order forms or anything like that. It'll just be the paper for the artwork, and then the artwork coming back will be the only things that need to get moved around. And then what will happen is we'll send all of that artwork to Silver Graphics so that they can do their high quality scan of the artwork. They will create an online shop for us. So you'll be able to go in and say, Old County Road School, 4th grade, find your student, and then, shop from there. All of the ordering will be online, and then items will be shipped directly to the families. So the product will not come back to the school. So the only logistical assistance I really would need is making sure all of the kids get cardstock. I don't know if the art teacher wants to do it with them. Right now, we don't have any. We talked about possibly doing a theme, coming up with a theme for that, to get them started. Of course, there's virtual students at home who would just, we need to distribute to. So our time frame that we're looking at there is to get materials distributed February 1st, and they'd have a month to create their creations and get it shipped to Silver Graphics at the very beginning of March. The online shop, everything would be scanned in, and the online shop would open up around the middle of March, around the 17th through the beginning of April. And then delivery takes about 3 to 4 weeks. So it would be back in time for Mother's Day. So that's kind of our hook. Your mom really wants this, wink, wink. So, but I don't know. I personally thought that was an extremely fun fundraiser, and I have more cutting boards than I'll ever use. And they have a wide range from what I remember. I didn't really look at it this time, but from what I remember, there was a pretty wide range of like $5 for a keychain or however, $15 items. So it's accessible, I feel, to pretty much anyone who wants to participate. And even if you just get a little keychain or a magnet, I think that magnets were like $2 or something. So that's what we'd like to do. I just need help figuring out logistically how to do it.
So let me just answer logistics, and then I see another raised hand, or the same raised hand. So I love it because the kids are great at it. So logistically, that really wouldn't be a problem. So what we would do is, the card stock, so anything that comes into the school, we let sit for 2 days before we hand it out to kids or share it with anybody. So I would just get it ahead of time. To get it to the virtual families, we would include it in a pickup. Mm-hmm. So that wouldn't be a huge deal. We could absolutely do that. So Miss Moretti, our art teacher, she is only going to be with us through trimester 2. So the timeline would work. So okay. Trimester 3, she will not be with us. But I think this will work fine. And I think getting it back, again, what we would probably do is put them in and have them sit in the classroom like in a pile for 2 days, and then I could collect them all and get them back to you or in any way that we need to do that. So I think logistically we can easily make that work.
Okay, and I do think one of the things, there's not, like I said, there's not much going back and forth, but I do think they mentioned that they will send us file folders and envelopes that are big enough to handle. Although, again, we were just going to go with 8.5 by 11. We weren't going to do massive posters or anything like that. But I think they will actually be supplying some things like that. I think we would probably need, I was debating between doing a form because we need to collect, we want to make sure the right artwork goes to the right student, right? So, name, classroom, I've got a list somewhere of what we need. The other thing I could potentially do is print up stickers. So that goes right on the back of the artwork, so they can fill it out on the back and then flip it over and do their artwork would be another possible option, just to make sure the information stays with that piece of artwork.
We could even just I could have Mrs. Diaz just print out labels.
Yeah.
It's really, really simple to do. So that might just be the easiest thing. And then you don't have to go through that. And then we'll make sure they're all consistent and legible and all that. So yeah, that'd be pretty easy.
And I didn't really think about this until just now, is if any students want to create more than one picture, I don't know.
I think there are definitely some students who would.
But the more options they have, the more they might want to purchase. Like, grandma might like the, I don't know, the sports car, and I don't know, who knows? They might like different stuff. I mean, I want the families to get something that they'll enjoy using and having.
Sure.
So whatever that might be.
Mrs. Manny, are you ready to ask your question?
Yes. Question and statement. So it was I who did the Silver Graphics fundraiser that year, and I would say that it was wildly popular. And I know, Steph, you and I got to talk about this a while ago. It was wildly popular. People really enjoyed being able to memorialize that artwork, which was nice. And the range was incredible of price out. I mean, there were things that were less than $1 or $1, which really we weren't making any money on it at all, right? But they give you a tentative price list that you can work together on. They give you what they're going to charge us for, and then they give you a suggested sales price, and we can adjust those up or down. Most of them all stayed the same. I think we upped a couple things and we lowered a few things. I will say, as soon as we get into allowing them to offer more than one piece of artwork, they absolutely are going to have to write on the back of it very clearly, like, this is Kate and Manny's, piece number 1, which goes with blah, blah, blah. Kate and Manny, piece number 2. It was hard, but doable. Nobody ever complained that they got the wrong one. So
somehow it all worked out.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Like, it has to say sneaker and, or underwater sea, or there will definitely have to be a very, very clear thing. But like, I'll just, again, use my son. He loves fishing, right? So more than likely anything he does will have a fish in it, or a fishing rod. So like, fish is not going to work, right? It's going to have to very clearly be whatever, the difference is. So we would have to make sure we clearly announce that. But I think it's great. People like it. And I don't, it's another way, if I know we're 5th grade committee, but it's a nice way for the whole school to be involved, the whole school to help support, and something that everybody just enjoys as a project.
And that's all I really had for 5th grade.
Awesome. Thank you. When is your next meeting, Stephanie? I know Dorothy sent me an email. I'm going to post that to Facebook tonight. But if you want to put that out there.
Yeah, we meet every Monday at 7. And we have a 5th grade class Facebook page, and the link is in that page, but we can definitely resend that from email again.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you. All right, moving on. Mr. Barrett, it is time for your principal's reports.
Thank you. So I just want to start out by saying, thank you to all of the families for all of the hard work and support during distance learning. I know that is a real challenge, particularly for families that have work schedules and are trying to balance work with supporting kids, trying to get online and making sure they have quiet places to work. So I do really appreciate it. And I mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating, one of the positive comments that I received from multiple families was how nice it was, particularly for the virtual students, to be in the same virtual class at the same time with their in-person classmates, with their classroom teacher. So that was a really nice positive, because virtual students are typically working with the virtual learning tutors during the day and only touching base with the classroom teacher. So I do think that was nice. And I know that Dr. Monaco is looking at adding some more virtual learning tutor time for the virtual students as well, to make sure that they're getting all the support they need. So again, thank you. The transition back to in-person learning for the in-person students has been really smooth. We were a little concerned that the kids would take a while to sort of relearn the routines, but really not a problem at all. They handled it incredibly well. So that's working well, and we have more students who have returned from virtual learning to in-person. So that's been really nice to see as well. One of the things that the district is doing, and I know that you've all received the notices, but I could use some feedback and thoughts, particularly when we get to the open forum, is so we're, as a district, offering optional testing for students during the school day. And it'll be starting for us next Thursday and repeating every 2 weeks. And I just wanted to know, you know, I've sent out the official information to families and all of the official forms, but I just wanted to know if there's anything that families wanted to know about it, anything that could make it easier for them to really think about and make that choice. It is not required. So it'll never be required for students to attend school or return to school after quarantine. However, we would like as many families and students to participate as possible. So I could definitely use a little bit of input if there are questions that families have, or if people are nervous and they really want to know certain things. I would love to be able to help with that and get that information for families. So those are sort of the big things that are happening right now in the school. And I do like the idea of doing some sort of school community event, whether it be the bazaar or something else, because I think, you know, that's been one of the things that's been missing this year. It's been really tough not being able to get together in person, and kids being able to do things together outside of school. So if we're able to pull that off, I think that would be terrific. And then lastly, I apologize. I have not been able to get to many of the 5th grade committee meetings. The last one, so school committee meetings are almost always on Monday nights, every other Monday night, and I need to attend those. So I'll try and bop in and out on the off weeks that I'm not in school committee. And then of course I was out for a couple of weeks, so I wasn't able to attend that. So I'll try and make sure that I'm attending more of those meetings. And 5th grade committee too, if you are interested in that Patriots Hall of Fame virtual field trip, let me know, because I have to try and they fill up fast, the Patriots Hall of Fame. It's very popular. So we would have to try and find a date. It is a very inexpensive virtual field trip. I think it's $2 per student, so it's not super expensive. But if the 5th grade committee is interested, just let me know. Okay, and so I'll stop there.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. That ends the official part of this meeting, so I'm opening this up now to open forum. Any questions, comments, concerns from those that have joined us virtually, or again, Kevin, happy birthday for you.
Thank you. Again.
Does anybody on the call in the meeting tonight have any questions or concerns about that testing that I can try and help answer? My own daughter got it at the high school today. She's negative, which is good, which means I don't have to quarantine.
How quick are those results coming back from the schools?
So we get the results 15 to 30 minutes. And so if a student tests positive, then we would notify the family immediately. If they test negative, we put those results into the portal, and you would get a notification later in the day. So for example, again, my daughter's in the high school. She took the test during lunchtime. I got notification around 4:30 that her test results were ready. But because it wasn't immediate, I knew she was going to be negative, because if not, I would have gotten a call. And I know Dr. Pierlucci sent this out. The accuracy rate is much higher than the other rapid tests, and it's also it's not really invasive for the kids. It doesn't hurt. It's not like the PCR test, which if you get someone who's an aggressive tester, it feels like they've poked your brain a little bit. So it's very easy to do. They did it at La Perche this Monday. They were the first elementary school, and by all accounts, it went very well. So I'm looking forward to trying it next week and seeing how well it works. I'm also going to make a cute video with a baby Yoda doll showing the kids what the process is going to be like so that no one's scared. I might actually even take a video of Mrs. Fort testing me and me testing Mrs. Fort, just so that the kids have a good idea of what to expect before they even get there.
I think having the kids be able to see that first will definitely take some apprehension away from them. So it's a good idea.
Yeah, I hope so. And it, you know, obviously the goal is just to keep everyone as safe as possible. And, you know, kids often don't show symptoms. So this will allow us to catch asymptomatic cases where in the past maybe we weren't able to even know that that was happening. Sounds like someone just got the daily double. Any other questions or comments about that test? And like I said, it is optional, it's not required.
I just have a follow-up question. At one point, they were referencing the need to submit health insurance information with all that information. So that has changed now. They don't want health insurance information.
No health insurance information. So when I filled out the form for my daughter, it was, let me think. I think it was my name, my phone number, her name, and I think her date of birth and maybe my date of birth. That's it.
I did see the form that was sent home. I had just read all the other communication that had been sent home previous or talked about. And they had referenced the need to submit the health insurance information. And I know that that is part of a higher anxiety for people submitting to a yes on that. My personal feeling, my concern is the false positive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my concern comes. Because then I would be false positive quarantining 5 people.
I know.
Of 5 different schools. And myself being a teacher makes it difficult for me to allow that if I'm not seeing symptoms and I realize they're a layer, but just to have full disclosure, I will, those are my concerns.
No, I completely understand. And my wife, you know, my wife is a teacher in Smithfield. And so we were sort of on tenterhooks all day because if my daughter tested positive, Mr. Barrett would have immediately needed to leave and be quarantined. And Mrs. Barrett would have needed to leave her school and immediately be quarantined. So it was definitely something that we were apprehensive about as well. It's really a family decision. It truly is. I just want to make sure that if anybody has any questions that need answered, at least I get them the information. And, you know, as I was saying too, that we also let the kids know what to expect. So at least kids are, if they're going to be doing it, they have a good idea of what it's going to be like, that it's not going to hurt. It's not scary. But I completely respect any family's decision to say, yeah, no, this isn't going to work for my family. That's perfectly fine.
I think clarifying the health insurance aspect would be a good piece as well. That's comments that I've heard from other people as well, is that they didn't like the idea of that.
Yeah, you know what? I'll ask Dr. Paolucci if she wants something officially to go out from the district level, or I can write something myself for just the school. Typically, these things we tend to do it district-wide, so it's consistent. But I do think that's, and I'm glad that you said that, because that was not something that I was thinking for my own daughter, because I saw the form. But I think you're right. Some of the information that went out earlier, maybe before the holidays, from either the commissioner's office, might have talked about that. So I'll check and see if we can clarify that.
Yeah, that was a point of contention with students at Johnson & Wales, because they're doing the random testing there also. And all the information that went out initially stated that health insurance needed to be put on that form as well. And then when they got to the testing site, they didn't ask that. So I can see how that was affecting people from that end as well.
Of course. And people are rightly concerned about identity theft and things like that. And so you don't want to give more information than is necessary.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. Before we make a motion to adjourn, I just would like to put out that we're looking at February 3rd for the next PTA meeting. Mr. Barrett, if you could do your magic and check the calendar, if you don't mind.
So I just quickly checked the school calendar, and February 3rd is wide open, and it doesn't look right now like there are any district meetings like school committee or anything like that.
Okay. So that's, unless people here have horrible objections to that on the spot, that's the date we'll go with for the next PTA meeting. All right. With that being said, that has ended tonight's meeting. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
He has made the motion. Stephanie is second. At 7:54, according to my computer, our meeting has ended. Thank you, everyone, for an awesome evening. I hope you all take care. And if there's any comments, questions, feel free to reach out to me.
All right. Thanks so much. Good night.
Thank you.